All right, thank you. I have now got an echo. So I'm just gonna say that it's now my pleasure to introduce you all to Angel Booth, the Senior Sales Executive at Premier Reverse Closing, one of our session sponsors today. We are so grateful for PRC's continued support of Normala. And I thank the team at PRC for helping us to stay cool these past couple of days. That's really come in handy, Angel. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Introduce our next session. Here's Angel Booth. Thank you.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I hope you guys are all doing well. Steve, we want to thank you and the entire Normala team for having us introduce this session today. As always, you guys did such a great job putting on an amazing conference for us all. Today, I'm going to be introducing the Improving Your Closing Rate session, and we've got 4 guest speakers today, so I'll go ahead and give you a little background on each of them. Starting with Allison Calamia with America's Mortgage Resource. Allison was the first person to bring reverse mortgages to her home state of Louisiana and has 30 years of experience in the industry. She's worked in every aspect of the reverse mortgage business on both the retail and wholesale sides of the business as an originator and account executive. Allison has ran the reverse mortgage servicing division of Standard Mortgage Corporation. In 2016, Allison returned to the real retail side as a loan officer, and for 3 years, she served on the Independent Certification Committee that created and continues to administer the professional CRMP designation. Welcome, Allison. Then we have Carlos Camargo with Open Mortgage, LLC. Carlos is a reverse mortgage specialist and branch manager for Open Mortgage, as well as a certified instructor for the American CE Institute. Carlos served in the U.S. Air Force and was awarded the Air Force Commendation Medal for meritorious service prior to being honorably discharged as a non-commissioned officer. Thank you for your service, Carlos. Carlos has worked for Fortune 500 companies in the banking, real estate, mortgage lending, both traditional and reverse, software and technology industries. And in 2007, Carlos started his reverse mortgage career with Wells Fargo and has been a local speaker for the Camarillo Healthcare District and has been an H4P trainer at the Ventura County Coastal Association of Realtors for over 10 years. Welcome to Carlos. Next, we have Chris Downey with Harbor Mortgage Solutions. Leading a team of experienced mortgage professionals along with his dad, George, Chris is responsible for the oversight of conventional mortgage activities at Harbor Mortgage, as well as general management for the firm. As a graduate of Providence College with a BS degree in accounting, Chris began his career as a registered representative and operations manager at a securities broker dealership before joining Harbor Mortgage in 1989. As a mortgage loan originator, he was named vice president of Harbor Mortgage Solutions in 1997 and succeeded his father as president in 2004. Chris is also an active volunteer in several community service programs in his community and surrounding areas. Welcome to you as well, Chris. And finally, we have Scott Harms, which will be showing a video for us later after the session or maybe before. But he is with C2 Financial Corporation, and Scott has over 30 years of experience in real estate brokerage, mortgage lending, and reverse mortgages. He's a real estate broker and one of only 176 CRMP professionals nationwide. As a national manager for C2 Reverse, which is a division of the nation's #1 mortgage broker, C2 Financial Corp., Scott created the nationally recognized C2 Reverse training, certification, and origination program that has trained hundreds of loan officers to originate reverse mortgages, both competently and ethically. Thank you all for your presence here today. Now I'll pass it back over to you.
Thanks, Angel. Really appreciate the introductions there. And for those of you guys that weren't sure exactly how this session would go, we're going to go roundtable format with also question and answer. So if you have any questions for the panelists, just put it in the chat or the Q&A and we'll address those as we see them or at the end of the meeting. You're going to be fortunate to be able to get a little bit of a perspective from each one of us on how we use what we do for traditional marketing, you know, the face-to-face approach, both before COVID as well as now post-COVID. Allison, if you haven't already seen the new Normala magazine, there was a spotlight on her and it was across the kitchen table. So you can follow up and see a little bit more about that. But Why don't we start with Allison, since Allison, you and I and most of the team used a face-to-face approach. Can you share a little bit about that kitchen table approach and what you're doing?
Sure, sure. Well, it's very interesting at the beginning of COVID, when everybody was starting to do the Zoom process and different techniques of how to approach seniors. And oh Lord, how am I going to do this? Because I always did the kitchen table approach. Well, it turns out, I don't know if it's everywhere else in the country, but down here in the South, the seniors still want the kitchen table approach. Regardless of the fact that COVID was running rampant, they wanted that kitchen table approach. So I found that just by masking up, doing the table, across the table, just on the other side of the room, however we did it, they wanted to be face to face because they have that level of comfort knowing that you're a real human and that they can see you, they can see your personality, you can take your time with them. And that's really just the way it evolved. There was very rarely that I had a customer that says, no, I want to wait until it's safer. They would figure out a way for us to do it safely. Mask up. Yeah.
Yeah, finances tend not to be, we'll wait till something else happens when
Right.
we didn't know how long it was going to be. I, like you, do a lot of presentations face to face. I happen to have a traditional office as well as being able to work from home. But a lot of our clients would come into our office. Some of them couldn't make it to the office and wanted to continue to be able to have that face-to-face offering at their home. And so we would also have some client meetings at the Trusted Advisors location. But in the article, as well as our conversation of the day, you mentioned that you've done TV ads and have had some success there. I know we just finished on that branding with the CHIP up in Canada, but can you share a little bit about your TV commercial?
Sure. Well, it's really kind of funny, and mine are not as awesome as those that we just saw, or hilarious, but they are effective. I have one that airs with a customer with a testimonial, and another with just an older lady that's in our office, and she's just sort of in the background. But I've been running these for years, and they run in our local market, and seniors see it. I'm up against Tom as well. So I do hear quite often that from especially my female customers, well, you're not Tom, and we really hope to see Tom, but you'll have to do. So, but nevertheless, they do run 30-second spots a couple of times during the week. Sometimes the networks give you freebies. And it is local. I tried doing it on the national cable channels, and it just wasn't as effective as it was on the local networks. But anyway, yeah. So it pays for itself easily. Customers call. They say they see me on the commercial. Sometimes it takes them 3-4 times to see it before they actually react. But when they do, they say, okay, we wanted a real person to see locally. And that is the bigger message, is they want local and they want face-to-face. So going full circle back to the kitchen table talk, yes, that's what they want.
Sure. Yeah, I think all of us in the industry are going to obviously go up against the Tom Selleck commercials.
Yeah.
But I think what's most important is what you just said. They want someone local. They want to be able to talk to someone and be able to help them. I had a testimonial from one of our clients that said, I knew going to that other company was probably not the best thing because I wasn't going to deal with Tom. And Carlos knows more than Tom does. And I was glad to be able to have someone walk me step by step. I think the local piece is definitely an attractive feature for all of us that, you know, try to help our seniors in our community, their families and their trusted advisors.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You also mentioned a little bit about by doing the strategy of advertising local TV spots that sometimes you get extra commercial space.
I do, yes. So depending on what's going on in the world will depend on if there's like a spot that's going to be dead air if they don't plug in a commercial. So the networks will give you free spots. They never circle back to charge you for them. It's just free. So even though we pay for a certain number of spots, we usually end up getting a lot more spots throughout the day. What I did learn was never run it in the middle of the night or early in the morning because creepy, weird people call in the middle of the morning. So you make sure the networks are very clear. Do not run the spots that at that time of the morning because, yeah, we've had to block calls on many occasions.
Yeah, you want those spots running when it's most likely that seniors will be watching it or their family members.
Yes, and not some drunk, creepy person.
When Chris and I spoke the other day, we were talking about pre-COVID and post face-to-face approaches and a hybrid approach. Chris, why don't you share a little bit about that methodology that you guys have been using?
Sure. So first, good afternoon, everyone. We operate in 2 states only, Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And we've been employing, I guess what we'll refer to as a hybrid approach. We're using technology, I think, as a lot of people have figured out over the last 18 months, a heck of a lot more and a lot more efficiently than we were pre-pandemic. And it's forced us in our environment where we differ a little bit from yours, Allison. We've been forced to use technology and to do some aspects of this remotely. It's changing now. It's getting back to quote unquote normal a little bit. But I'll also say that I don't see us going back to where we were. We've found, as a result of all this, some much greater efficiencies and arguably better ways to conduct our business. First thing that happened here in Massachusetts, if everybody isn't familiar with it, Massachusetts is one of the only states that had a mandated face-to-face counseling requirement. And it was early April of 2020 that the counseling agencies shut down due to the pandemic. So what do? And there were people trying to get reverse mortgages at that time that couldn't because they couldn't get counseling here. So we had 2 of my colleagues here, George Downey and Brett Kirkpatrick, push through an emergency bill through the legislature to allow a temporary order for telephone and video counseling. So first thing we had to do here was get our state on board with all this. And a lot of people did not want to meet face-to-face. We didn't necessarily want to go into their homes either. And so we were conducting a lot of, what we generally refer to as our first meetings and follow-up meetings via video, and we still are. And so it is, I hesitate to refer to them as Zoom meetings, but it's Zoom is the Kleenex, the kind of the brand name that we're using for all this, and it has just it's allowed us to deal with more people, greater volume, a lot more efficiently. Some don't want it. Some still want to do the kitchen table. We are more than fine with that, but it's really opened our eyes. And so move forward, we will be employing, that hybrid approach to it all.
And unlike Allison, who utilizes the TV commercials and it's a nice return for her, you said the other day that you're doing almost no advertising at all and that your business, when you track it, is almost 100% referral. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, happy to. And not that we're opposed to advertising. We've tried it, and we certainly have done some. But right now we're not currently. We emerged out of the financial services industry here in the Boston area, and George created this company back in the late 70s. We were solely a mortgage company, had shut our other services by the early 90s, And frankly, just because we were probably a little bit lazy, we were relying on our relationships that we had created prior to that within the financial services industry in the greater Boston area. And that continues to this day. And it has just, we've gotten pretty good at establishing referral partners out of other financial institutions. And they range from certified financial planners and registered investment advisors, other banks and credit unions, the estate planning groups of some of the law firms in town, the elder law community, the typical suspects. And that has kind of been our method of operation over the years. And, you know, as everyone knows, a referral from some trusted advisor usually is a much stronger lead than a contact from some form of advertising. And that's proven to be the case with us. So we've focused, I would say, the majority of our marketing efforts in both maintaining the existing relationships and establishing new ones. But we are also, you know, you're almost conspicuous by your silence if you're not out there with some type of a social media campaign, and also very interested to hear of the success that Allison has had with her television advertising too.
I think it's all geared towards local, and it's amazing how we can support our referral partners like financial advisors. I know that is a big component for you. It's about 30% of my business right now is referrals directly from financial advisors to their clients. And it's good to see enough supporting research, Journal of Financial Planning, some of the posts that have been now published that from their industry, now they're talking about it not being a product of last resort. So we can thank Barry Sachs for the original paper, and now Jamie Hawkins, Wade Fowle, and a bunch of others for some of the supporting things that most of us should be aware of and try to become more familiar with if we're not. I see a question that came up from Lori asking about, is it hard for your seniors to download Zoom? Chris, any comment?
Yes.
I've had trouble with it. So sure, they have too. It is, there have been some trying moments, to be sure, right? And
It's helpful to have the kids.
What's that, Allison?
Right, so right.
It's helpful
but-
to have children around to help them through it.
Yes, we were joking about this on one of our prep calls leading up to this session, that the ones that seem to have the least problem are the ones that have, you know, teenage and young adult grandchildren to act as their IT teams for them. I do that at home myself. The you know, all in all, yeah, there are going to be problems. People are going to have issues. But it has been the lesser of two evils in many instances for us. And I got to give a lot of credit to, you know, the senior community. For the most part, I think that they are a heck of a lot more technically proficient than we generally give them credit for. And it is, you know, whether it's just figuring how to use email to communicate with family members, Facebook, other forms of social media, you know, doing the stuff that we're doing with them, for the most part, wasn't a big leap. There are some that don't want to have anything to do with it. We literally have some people that don't have a computer, period. But, you know, and that's why we will continue to employ this hybrid approach. Some only want to do it. There are some people right now that still don't want a stranger coming into their home. Fine, we're okay with that too. You know, we figured out the ways to work around that, and again, it's allowed us to handle a lot more situations than we would have otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends. We heard that in some of the other you know, responses from some of the other sessions. I think the senior, their family, their household, or their advisors, there should be enough a connection for some of them to be able to get through. I had a aunt in Brazil in her late 90s get onto Facebook and I saw, the connection, and I was like, I was her first friend. I replied back and I said, is this you or is this someone else in the family helping you? And she's like, you're my first friend. And she started corresponding with my wife, who doesn't speak Portuguese. And yet there's that translate button. And so they can have conversations back and forth. And my wife and my aunt in Brazil, they communicate on a regular basis, post pictures. And I think the Facebook generations
That's awesome.
definitely helped our older clients. And some of them are, staying in touch for the grandkids. And Zoom is not as bad as Google Meets or some of the other platforms. I think more and more senior households are already getting used to utilizing it. They do it for Bible studies, getting together with their girlfriends and boyfriends. Because of the COVID pandemic, people had to
COVID
adjust.
forced them into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's one thing we can give COVID is that it forced people into learning technology just to stay in touch with family. So it really worked to our advantage fairly early on, when it was utilized, for sure.
Yeah, I think for sure. Scott's not here today, but he put together a 7-minute video. Him and C2 Reverse are almost 100% utilizing technology at the top of the funnel for initial conversations, and they're trying to automate as much as possible. So why don't I have Daryl cue up that video so everybody can see his introduction and his comments.
Hello, this is Scott Harms, Certified Reverse Mortgage Professional and C2 Reverse National Manager. Pleased to be here to join you at NRML's virtual summer meeting. And this session is going to be on improving your closing rates with virtual client interaction. What's interesting is I could not be present for the live panel discussion today. So my portion of the presentation, we're using virtual client interaction. So let's get right into it. First of all, my source material for a lot of what you'll see today is Rehumanize Your Business by two of the top execs for BombBomb. BombBomb and Loom are two of the top tools we use for virtual client interaction. What you're seeing right now is a Loom video where you're seeing the live video and a screen recording. And I'll give you information on Loom and BombBomb as we get into it. Okay, well, what is virtual client interaction? It's increasing communication effectiveness and creating efficiency through video. It's simple and quick. Personal videos, screen recordings, or a combination of both. And what you're seeing today is a combination of a personal video, me up in the corner, and a screen recording, because what you're seeing is I'm going through a PowerPoint on the screen. You could do the same thing, for instance, with a counseling package, with a loan comparison, with an initial reverse mortgage analysis with your client. It's an alternative to and an amplifier for traditional email and kitchen table meetings, and really can be powerful in amplifying or as an alternative to kitchen table meetings. So why virtual client interaction? Well, no meeting or Zoom appointment is needed for your client or for you. It's asynchronous communication, which overcomes time and distance. Well, what do we mean by asynchronous communication? Well, when you make the video, put it in an email, you send that email anytime you want, and then the recipient can open the email, watch the video anytime they want. So asynchronous, you don't have to worry about a specific time or place. It's communication that sticks and can be passed on. Videos are rewatched to clarify and verify, and this is very important. Think how many times you met with a client at the kitchen table on a Thursday evening, answered all their questions, everything was clear as glass in their mind. They call you back Friday morning about 10 o'clock and are asking many of the same questions again. What we find with the videos is they'll actually rewatch the videos, sometimes as many as 7 times, to verify and clarify. It's good for the client, and really it's good for you because it saves a lot of those excess phone calls and redundant conversations. Also, the videos are passed on to trusted advisors. We've all had it happen where we talk to the borrower. Who else, we ask, would you like to have involved in the decision-making process? Oh, I'm handling it all on my own. Then sometime between counseling and application, one of their kids gets involved, let's say a son. Well, now the client can forward the video onto the son, and the son is saying this exact same information they saw in making their decision to move forward with the reverse. And now they can see why, hey, a reverse would be a good idea to help enhance dad's senior years. Well, why virtual client interaction? You look the client in the eye through video, building know, like, and trust. And people like to do business, especially seniors like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Through video, you become more recognizable, approachable, and connected. In fact, at the next live NERML meeting, I hope you'll recognize me and that you'll approach me so that we can become connected. Consistent client feedback we've gotten over the last 4 years. Clients will say to us, I feel like we've already met, and that's just from the video experience. And also, we'll get a phone call from the client after they've watched our videos, and the feedback we get is they're using a familiar tone after watching the video, like they already know us. Video adds gesture, emphasis, tone, and empathy that are absent in email. It really builds that know, like, and trust, and it's amazing how you feel it with your clients. In a survey of over 500 participants who had sent at least 10 videos, 81% got more replies and responses. 87% get more click-throughs to their emails. 68% have an increased lead conversion. 56% generate more referrals. Really look at those numbers. Those are powerful numbers. So when should you use virtual client interaction? Really about any time you'd send an email would be an appropriate time to make a video. At C2, we use them extensively in initial reverse mortgage education and analysis, and that's a time when it really helps us improve our close rate. We use it in the next steps process to handhold the borrower and walk them step by step through the reverse mortgage counseling and application process. We give personal updates during the reverse mortgage process. It keeps your borrower connected to you. And we create evergreen videos for common questions and repeated processes. Things like how to best prepare your home for the appraisal. Well, think about it. Your texts and emails look just like his or her texts or emails. Video gives a personal touch, faster conversion, and more referrals, as the numbers we just looked at showed. So how virtual client interaction? Well, just get started and do it. It's way easier than you think. Once you do your first 2 or 3 videos, it's very simple. Smile and wave at the start of your video. Most of the tools like BombBomb and Loom have a GIF, a moving picture at the beginning, and your recipient can see a smile and wave at the beginning of the video. And that increases your click-through rate. Place the camera above eye level, gives a more flattering picture, which always helps. Background, you can either use a virtual one, which I like to use, or use a clean and personal one. Maybe have some personal family portraits on the bureau behind you. Put the majority of your info in the video, not in the body of the email. Okay, only put in the body of the email the information you need to get them to click on, play, and watch the video. Speak like you're talking to a friend. It's very easy. Do not re-record. How often do you re-record a voicemail? I did this video in 1 take. It wasn't perfect, but that's all right. A few foibles lets you know I'm human, and it increases the connection between us. So the 2 primary tools we use at C2 Reverse are BombBomb and Loom. Go to bombbomb.com or loom.com. They both have free trial periods available. so you can kind of learn how to use it, do a few of them, and see if you think it's a tool that you would use and would be effective for you. I'd also recommend reading Rehumanize Your Business. It's by two of the top execs at BombBomb. Really good information. A lot of the material I used for this presentation came from that book. I want to give them credit. But also by the time you're done reading that book, I think you'll be convinced that virtual client interaction is indispensable in this post-pandemic business era. So thanks for letting me participate with you at NRML's virtual summer conference on increasing your closing rate. I hope you found this helpful. Scott Harms, certified reverse mortgage professional, C2Reverse. Thanks.
There's a couple of other technology software platform tools that can be utilized. Scott uses Loom, Scott uses BombBomb. I've been using video software and technology platforms for probably about 5+ years now. There's a completely free one called Soapbox by Wistia. And it's not just a trial. You could use it. I used it for over 1.5 years. I recently made a change to a different platform called Vidyard. And Vidyard allows you to do the same sort of customer interaction videos like Scott was just talking about, but you can do a video series. And so for me, the series component of being able to show people an explainer video up front, I might do an intro or following a meeting, and then be able to do some of the standard frequently asked questions that we normally get. And so I'm going to show you a video, and I can answer any of the technology questions that you might have for Scott as well. But I'm going to share my screen here so you guys can see. So in the body of the email, I'll do an introduction. It'll have this GIF, this little animated image that he's talking about where I'm waving my hand. It'll have their video, it'll have a custom introduction to it, and they can either hit this play button here or they can go down to the link and play it. So here's the video. They can also increase.
Carlos, can you turn it up a wee bit? I can't hear it on my end.
Credit. In this situation, when borrowers make payments, they are increasing the available line of credit while paying down the loan balance. This is the same idea as the home equity loan, but these are optional, not required. By choosing to make these payments, borrowers often boost their line of credit by tens of thousands of dollars. This only furthers the long-term security already provided by the reverse mortgage. There are dozens of scenarios in which borrowers may benefit from making optional payments towards their reverse mortgage. If you would like to know more, please contact us at Open Mortgage today, or click the link at the end of this video to explore our video library. One of the most important steps in the reverse mortgage process is counseling. Anyone involved in the transaction must attend counseling. This includes borrowers, co-borrowers, conservators, guardians, non-borrowing spouses, and powers of attorney for incompetent borrowers. We also encourage you to include any family members that might like to be involved in the educational session. Counseling's purpose is to protect homeowners by making sure they have a safe place.
Yeah, it appears that people are still having trouble hearing it.
Simply put, counseling exists to ensure that you understand what a reverse mortgage is and how. Your counseling session will take place with a HUD-approved counselor. This counselor is an independent, non-affiliated third-person party. Your loan originator may not steer you or push you to any one counselor, and will instead provide you with a list of HUD-approved counselors so you can select your own counselor. Counseling can be conducted over the phone or face-to-face. Acceptance states that require a face-to-face counseling session. Once you have completed your counseling session, you will receive a document certifying this completion. After receiving your certification, you are free to go through with the application process and move forward with the loan if you choose. If you would like to know more, please contact us at Open Mortgage today, or click the link at the end of this video to explore our video library.
Apologize if you weren't able to hear as well the audio, since it was now the third party. It's in someone's email system. They don't require any downloads for that technology, but it gives you an idea if you just were able to see the video and just barely hear it. It still gives you an idea that you can customize the video for the family member that you're dealing with. It could be an adult child of the parent. It could be a trusted advisor. But now you can, any explainer videos, any intro videos, anything that you want to show. On purchase transactions, I use it for all parties on weekly status updates, where we're at during the transaction. My processor always tells me, hey, you're the only person I know that does those. I love those videos. Keep on doing them. And that's where a lot of times it just augments what we normally would do face-to-face. If we need to explain anything, we can now be able to use that. And for all of the frequently asked questions that we always see over and over again, it's nice to be able to have some of the generic videos that cover those topics one by one. There was a question for Allison in the Q&A. Allison, Robin asked for everybody else, do you have a presence in the digital space, display ads, native advertising, social media marketing, et cetera? And if so, what percentage of your budget is used?
I do, social media for sure. We do a lot of blogs that we send out. We hire a marketing company that handles that for us. That I would say that's probably 10%. I will say that the majority of my business comes from the commercials and referrals, not from that.
How about you, Chris? Any social media? Are you seeing any returns from that? Are you utilizing anything with your hybrid model?
We do, and we have. It has been not as productive as we would have hoped. And that certainly is, I think, a lot to blame on us. We have a marketing and PR firm that we employ that handles our social media for us. We do put a fair amount of content out there. We have a article published monthly in a local publication geared towards seniors and older homeowners. And that's both in print form as well as in digital form as well. And that content gets repurposed, as you would expect, quite a bit. So, the long-winded answer here is that, yes, we do have a presence there. Again, I think you're conspicuous by your absence if you don't these days. And we're constantly trying to, update and tweak our website with this content as well.
Yeah, I think that it's important to show you as the expert,
Right.
but I don't think it's the driving thing that's going to bring in the customers. It just makes you known, like Coke, not soda, or Pepsi, it's Coca-Cola. So that's the purpose of just that nonstop, getting that out there, your name out there, your company out there. But I don't think that's the driving force of your leads. It just gives you recognition. So there's a couple of publications here in New Orleans that there's one New Orleans magazine that has Faces of New Orleans, and they publish this once every year, and they call different companies that are experts in a business, and they've put me in this with an article twice, and that is huge that has brought in so much business
Mhm.
just from having me in that one particular article called Faces of New Orleans. And it's only one type of business for each category. So that's highly effective if you have something like that in your area.
I would encourage anybody to look at Allison's website. I checked that out. I saw your piece in the New Orleans Magazine. That was fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And I'm gonna just go back to two things that I heard Carlos say, as well as Scott in his video. And that, we're not using all this technology to necessarily generate more leads, but we're using it to make this process better for our clients and maybe a bit easier for us too. But using especially the video to educate our clients upfront, way before they've ever, made an application or even gone to counseling, using that video content to help explain the process, that they can go back to further our connection with them. All of that interests me greatly. I can guarantee you we will be using video a lot more thanks to Carlos and Scott and our conversations we've had on this. I would encourage everybody else to look into this as well. And, help this process be easier and more efficient for our clients as well as ourselves.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I didn't even know about that. And I learned a lot. Thank you, Carlos. And, I do plan on looking into it and setting up, because there are those that are totally receptive to it. And that on top of the face-to-face meeting, you do both. But I think that's huge. I think that gives them that initial introduction. How many times do you have a person that says, just mail me something?
Yeah.
And if you say, well, how about if I mail you a video? Then they're more receptive than having that face-to-face when they feel like they're going to be cornered or something like that. So I think it's huge.
I think it depends on the platform, on what we're trying to achieve. If we're really, as an industry, trying to educate and inform and have our product be more adopted by the masses instead of being down in the 2.5% penetration rate, we need to cross this, chasm for reverse mortgage being used as a planning tool for retirement. But I think with the reverse mortgage and these videos to educate and inform, for financial advisors like Chris and I have a large portion of our business that's geared towards them. This is where the education could take place, right? If you have one financial advisor, or if he's in a firm, or, you can now be able to send these items to them on like a drip marketing campaign and now customize each one of them. I'm trying to do a branding for some local financial advisors, and they're going to be one-to-one custom account-based marketing pieces for them. It's not one-to-many that I'm blasting out, because I want to be able to, be the local reverse mortgage professional that they know that specializes in this versus other people in the mortgage industry that are starting to dabble in reverse, and some don't specialize and don't understand, the problems associated on the purchase side with escrows and concurrent transactions, especially in today's environment. But LinkedIn for me, or Facebook, is two different platforms. For Facebook, it's probably more B2C. I'm dealing with the consumer direct or their family member direct. And so a video testimonial or something about our industry might be useful in that place. Daryl puts out the NRMLA wristband index. I think people should know how big that number is. When you're talking trillions of dollars of home equity in senior households, that's one of the things I'll post. And but on LinkedIn, it's more business to business referral partners for me. If I want to do something on, getting a polling question to tax professionals, CPAs, EAs about a modified adjusted gross income and how they might do planning, or if it's a financial advisor, you can do it now. Questions of, about what their concerns are. There was a local author that is from a university nearby us, not too far away, and it's a very academic book, but she wrote a book called Enhancing Retirement Success Rates in the United States. And she gave 3 big trends that would help someone enhance their retirement, and reverse mortgages was number 2. And if you employed delaying Social Security with reverse mortgages and possibly working longer, that was her trifecta. And so, you know, that is definitely an article that I posted onto LinkedIn for the financial advisors to comment or to just know about if they haven't seen her book. Because again, most financial advisors are thinking low-hanging fruit, product of last resort, and we want to change that and get it to be more of an integrated, you know, strategy for retirement planning when you think of how much home equity someone has.
Mhm.
Let me check for questions and answers and make sure I covered everything. Again, sorry for everything about the audio. Some of you guys had a hard time hearing it. The one question was, what platform is that one that I'm using right now? And that's called Vidyard, Vidyard, Vidyard. And yeah, I'm a super user for their platform. I probably do 3 to 10 videos a day. And we did, I think 450 videos this past year. And you think during business days, that's a lot of video to consume. But again, I use it throughout the life cycle to educate and inform all parties that are involved in the transaction. Allison, I don't see any more questions. Any other comments, thoughts, ideas?
I don't know. I think this is for us. How do you address a surprise health and safety issue when you have not gone to the home? I'm not sure if I understand that question, but I'll do my best.
Maybe that was when we had the exterior only inspections for the appraisals, and maybe an appraisal inspection report ended up coming up. Well, no, you wouldn't find it during that.
It was at 1:47. I don't know what time zone that is, so maybe that's not for us.
No, I think that was just if you're interacting with the video and using Zoom, maybe there is some unknown underlying health issue, or maybe some unknown cognitive issue. Have you encountered any issues, any of you, that turn out to be surprises, where at the start of the process you weren't aware of? I am assuming, it wasn't my question, I'm translating.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think that's a very good point. You know, I can't speak to the video because I don't use them. I use the Zoom, and I would say that if there was a cognizant issue, then if you're talking about Zoom, then you probably will know right away. And chances are the person may not even remember to Zoom on unless they have a family member. So I think that, you know, that will, the kitchen table is a no-brainer. You're definitely going to have that issue. But if the only other way to really know is at some point, I think that through the process, that's going to come up. I don't see how it wouldn't when it comes to application time, counseling, all that sort of thing. So I don't see that. It may come up later and cause yourself some problems, but at some point it will come up.
I think this question from Catherine was probably towards Scott and his video. And he did mention that he does include information about the appraisal process. Some of the appraisal management companies are now sending out, I'm out here in California, and the primary AMC that I use sends, if we include in the order an email address, they will send the California requirements of what the appraiser is going to be looking for. And so I just think that's probably in our best interest to always educate and inform what the process is going to be like from start to finish. And so the surprise health and safety issues, for California, we want to make sure that they have the smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide detectors. We want to have earthquake safety straps on their water heater. And so we've always put that out to people when they get to that point so that we're preparing. Hey, don't have the appraiser come out unless you have addressed these items. And now our appraisal management company is also sending out that correspondence. So I think that surprise health and safety issue, if you've not gone out to the home, Scott does a lot of, it sounds like, C2 is using almost 100% technology. So I think that was the question for him.
Maybe so. Yeah.
And, yeah.
And just to add to that, I don't go to every customer's house. A lot of them just come to my office. So I wouldn't know if there's a safety and health issue anyway, if they come to my office to meet for the first time and do the application. So I'm not going to know.
Yeah.
So if there is a safety issue, we deal with it just like any issue that comes up in an appraisal. So that's never really been a concern.
Yeah, Catherine just responded in the Q&A and she said, yes, Carlos, that is what I meant. So I think we addressed that question.
Sorry, Catherine.
I think,
I was taking it sideways, so.
Well, that's okay. We touched on two
Our
things.
attendees, to put any questions in either the chat or Q&A. We've got a few more minutes with our esteemed panelists here. I'm wondering, while we're waiting for additional comments or questions to come in for you all, if, we've talked about new approaches and different marketing strategies and different ways and of approaching your sales processes. And I'm just wondering if you could just touch on briefly a little curveball question here, which is, do you find it any different for private label product applicants or customers versus the FHA insured HECM applicants, or is it a senior is a senior is a senior, and it just depends? I mean, is there any proprietary product secrets that you'd like to share as some of these insights?
I think, Allison, you could probably address your community. I'm not sure how much you have in the way of the proprietary reverse mortgage option.
I don't. Our housing values down here are much smaller than, say, California or New England area, Florida. We just don't utilize that product that much. I think I've done 3 in my entire career down here. We just don't have those. But I will say that the approach, regardless of what product, it's the personality of your customer.
Yeah.
So it's not the product, is it a highly, I use this very loosely, so please nobody take this the wrong way, but a highly educated business person doing a reverse versus a widow whose husband managed everything and now trying to get support. There's a different conversation. There's a different demeanor that you have to put on. So you have to know how to speak with your audience, whether it be a female, a male, a married couple, highly educated versus not, someone that is desperate versus someone that uses it as a financial tool. There's a whole different approach from one customer to another customer.
Out here in California, we obviously have the higher net worth clients. The valuations, can even exceed the 10 million. I try to get away from the jargon and just call it a private reverse mortgage for higher net worth clients that have valuation on their property values, in the millions of dollars. And so I think it gets more to a needs assessment of really trying to find out what they're looking for, what they're trying to achieve, and then be able to present the options. And the loan comparison screen, you can put up to 6 different items, including the government insured. If they don't want to take all of the money at closing, which used to be one of the downfalls on the private reverse mortgage, now they're offering the line of credit just like the HECM. So it seems like more and more things are mirroring the HECM solution and the adjustable versus the fixed rate options.
I'll throw my 2 cents worth in here too. And, working with the higher income, high net worth borrowers, both on, we are a conventional forward mortgage company as well as a reverse. And most of my clients, because they're referred by some type of financial advisor, they tend to be higher income, high net worth borrowers. Some into, I won't say into ultra, but very high income, high net worth. We're doing a proprietary right now where we're working with the financial advisors as well as the borrowers directly. And at the end of the day, there's little difference in dealing with that a proprietary product borrower as opposed to the HECM. The situation is very similar to what you would deal with in a typical HECM situation. The numbers may be bigger, but the problems are similar. They just have maybe a few more zeros at the end of the line item. And so I think that approach is, for the most part, if anybody is breaking into that market now, don't be intimidated by that. I would approach it in a very similar fashion. Similar problems, just bigger numbers typically.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, I think
And
it was
also
2000
know that product inside and out before you start to market it, because there are
True.
nuances with that product that you need to know about.
Right.
But the high net worth client is something that we can be a good advisor to the financial advisor and their clients. It was 2010 was my first high net worth client that had a multi-million-dollar property that was utilizing the reverse mortgage. And it's something you shouldn't walk away from. I think I heard yesterday in the presentation that there was one done in Beverly Hills, 90210, and he was surprised to hear about that. But we still see that no matter where they're at, they still own a home. They might need to access some of that home equity.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. One thing I just want to mention, and I'm going off topic a little bit here, but we talked about it before, and what things have worked, and one not new thing to what you were talking about before, Steve, not some new trick or marketing method that we've learned, but just an old school one. One thing that has produced more consistently for us and probably given us some more brand recognition in our local markets has been a newspaper article that we create on a monthly basis, published in a local print publication that also gets put out on a digital publication as well. And it has been wonderful, and just a consistent producer for us in terms of calls. When it's not making our phones ring off the hook, I don't want to make it sound like that, but it's also helped to underscore our brand. And whenever there's been a reason for the article not to be published on a monthly basis, we hear about it. People want to see it. And I would encourage people in markets where there is, a senior dedicated publication. Everybody's looking for content. And, you might want to seek some of those publishers out and see if you might be able to provide them some content on a consistent basis.
Well, that's great. And listen, I want to thank Scott and you, Chris. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while. Allison, always a pleasure. Carlos, thank you for your stewardship of this group and handling the curveballs as they came in. And I certainly know from the comments and chat I'm seeing come up that the tremendous value to our attendees. So we thank you very, very much. And
Thanks for having us.
move on.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. You're welcome.
I appreciate your time and support and dedication. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Steve.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.